This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of May 16th, 2022. Just another intense week down here on planet Earth. This one holds some potential for gaining clarity, understanding, and grounding. But first, the overall atmosphere, a number of big things affecting the framework. Remember that Mercury, the planet of communication and transportation, is well and truly into its second retrograde of the year. So there's a lot of going over old territory, of revisiting information, of pulling things out of the back of file cabinets, of misunderstanding stuff that's coming at you right now, or perhaps big elements of outright lying and deceit happening, at least confusion. So take everything with a grain of salt, everything under advisement. Fortunately, we have other influences that aid discernment, that aid ferreting out the truth, that aid seeing things clearly. There's also a lot of incentive to get up and go out, to not just collapse in a fetal heap on your floor and stare at the TV or your phone, but go out, do things, fight for stuff you want, have some fun, be out in public with Venus and Jupiter, both in the go-get-'em sign of Aries, also the sign of warrior god Mars. He'll be joining them next week. He has other duties this week. We'll get to those in a second. The week begins with a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio, a super-sized full moon with a doorway open to Pluto, the lord of the underworld, the agent of unavoidable change, and an easy flow with Neptune, which pulls in compassion and seeing the bigger picture and everyone being connected in everything that's going on, and also increases the flow of deception and gaslighting. But as I mentioned, and will elaborate on in a second, we've got fixes for that astrologically. As the lunar eclipse brings a lot of very dirty, uncomfortable, unpleasant emotions and revelations to the surface, we do have the opportunity to flush the toilet and to clean the bowl. And as we're tackling that, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction of mid-April hits a point of completion. Mars, the ruler of our drive, meets with Neptune on the 18th in the sign of Pisces, which isn't compatible with the way Mars likes to operate. Action, aggression, forward motion in water can lead to a backsplash, to a backwash, to indirect motion, to misdirected motion, to things going on indirectly, passive-aggressively, but also through gentler, compassionate channels. This is also a trigger moment for whatever was gestating in the middle of April, or actually in the weeks leading up to that as well, when Jupiter and Neptune met in the sign of Pisces. Many people have no idea what this brought in their lives. It's a very diffuse, nuanced influence. There can be years and years, actually, before it becomes clear what was really important. It brought an influx of imagination, of guidance. It last happened in 1856 and inspired or birthed individuals who ended up having a long-term impact on literature and important works of fantasy. I'm referring to Lewis Carroll and L. Frank Baum. Its impact on you might have been fuzzy. Maybe you just were more spaced out than normal. You may not be able to articulate at all what it meant for you, but you will be nudged. You will be innately led into some kind of action that manifests, that pushes ahead on the potential of that conjunction for you. And we all will collectively when Mars meets Neptune on the 18th. When he finally gets around to meeting the other planet in that conjunction, Jupiter, they will both be in a different sign, Aries, and it will be much more evident then what this was all about, and that's on the 29th. As for the rest of this week, well, the chatter is going to be really loud. Information will be flying, as it seems to be doing 24/7 now, but especially hugely watch for a fire hose around the 19th. Your own thoughts could be going, as they say, a mile a minute, but I'm going to say maybe 10 miles a minute. Lots that you are compelled to talk about, lots of getting in touch with people using whatever media or channels that you do for it. Remember that Mercury is still retrograde as this happens, which is a sextile to Jupiter. And while there is, as always, the possibility of a lot of misdirection or overwhelm or making a big deal about something that isn't really the issue, it will be organic and easy to zero in on what is most important, especially to you. The sun is in a trine at that day, the 19th, with Pluto, which has us all processing the personal importance of so many revelations and developments growing out of the lunar eclipse and recasting ourselves, stepping into our own power, cutting back, cutting down to what is most important to you, could bring a huge uptick in confidence, in just simply knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you need, and a redrawn level of tolerations. As if the noise level could not get any louder? Haha, it in fact does. On the 20th, the sun enters Gemini, and then on the 21st, the sun meets Mercury. If the workings of the Sun-Pluto trine are so deep that you cannot articulate them, your mind will wrap itself around a lot by the 20th and 21st. It's playing catch-up, but fast. And your ability to transmit your own messages will be instantaneous. This comes with an open door to take extremely empowered action, to take efficient, targeted, laser-pointed action in a surprisingly gentle or backhanded way with Mars in an opportunity aspect to Pluto. And then comes the grounding. On the 22nd, retrograde Mercury slides back into the earthbound, earth-focused side of Taurus, and the retrograde snafus and review and redos move to real-world manifestations. What does something cost? How is it experienced in physical terms? What does it mean for your wallet? This is the area that will be immediately affected or first affected by the playing out of the Scorpio lunar eclipse. That eclipse is a factor for months, but very early on, within a week, starting by this weekend, we're looking with a different view at what we have and what it costs. Homing thought of the week: I am changing my mind based on new data. Song of the week, Truth by Gwen Stefani. And the image of the week is trying on a new prescription for eyeglasses. I have lots more about all this in my forecast for the Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse and in my talk about the Taurus Scorpio eclipses of 2021 to 2023, both of which are available at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio on the first and third Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern. And this week I'm looking at the notion of don't dream it, be it, the switch from Pisces to Aries, using as poster children Two women who have rewritten their life again and again in very bold and adventuresome ways in the past couple of years, and are now living outside the United States as a result of their adventures. I host lively conversation on Facebook at Empowerment Unlimited and the group The Astro-Insight Lounge. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and I'm really grateful to the people who support my work there. I'm on Instagram at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian channel. Talk to you next week.